Why? Who Said So? By Alberto Moravia. I had the following dream. I was lying on my back inside a glass box. I looked up and saw the feet of a number of people who, as they walked, passed across the lid of the box. There were women's feet and men's feet. I could distinguish between them by the shape of the soles of their shoes. I wanted to say to them, "Don't walk over me, can't you see you're walking over me?" But no voice issued from my mouth. And now 2 pairs of feet, one masculine and the other feminine, stepped right on top of the lid of the box, exactly above my head. Evidently, these were 2 people who were conversing about their own affairs, a man and a woman, perhaps a young couple, perhaps talking about love, and they'd chosen precisely this place to talk about it. I wanted to say to them, too, "Don't stop on top of me like this. Don't you realize that I'm lying under your feet while you exchange tender remarks and make plans for the future? Don't you realize?" But again this time I could not manage to speak. Then suddenly something worse occurred. A very heavy, massive object, a trunk, a wardrobe, a wooden chest, was moved with great effort and fatigue to be placed on top of me, and left there forever. I heard the voices of the people who were pushing it. The enormous object was by now obscuring half of the glass, its black shadow advancing steadily. Soon I should be plunged in darkness. I cried out with all the breath I had in my body, "Stop, what are you doing? I'm underneath here, don't you realize I'm here?" And I raised my hands upwards so as to lift the lid. But it was too late. The lid wouldn't rise, even the smallest part of an inch. The dark mass was advancing. It covered me, plunged me in gloom, and then I woke up with a long, bitter moan. I knew at once that I'd been dreaming. I was dead. And instinctively I threw myself over to the side of the bed where my wife was sleeping. I embraced her and asked her in a loud, clear voice, "Is it true then? Have I got to die?" She gave a groan, but I insisted, "Tell me, is it true then? Have I got to die?" And this time the answer came in a slow voice, each word pronounced distinctly. "Why? Who said so?" For a moment I thought I'd not heard properly. Then absurdly, irresistibly, an immense, even if incredulous, joy flooded my heart. I felt that perhaps it was true. Perhaps, as my wife appeared to imply, I should not die. I was immortal, or rather, not mortal. I shouldn't die, but should go on living indefinitely. I pursued the question, "What do you mean, who said so? Everybody says so. We all know it's inevitable." I got no reply. After those words that were so clear and so important, my wife, like a sibyl who delivers her oracle and relapses into unconsciousness, had resumed her sleep, or rather her snoring, a gentle, subdued, delicate snoring, it is true, but a snoring nevertheless. For a moment I thought of awakening her. Then I was afraid that this would irritate her and cause her to retract her response, and I thought it better to defer the explanation until the following morning, and so, comforted and hopeful, I went to sleep again, with the wonderful sensation that perhaps, yes, perhaps, truly, I should never die. I awoke, as usual, about 9 o'clock, and immediately recalled my dream and my wife's remark. I raised myself on my elbow. In the half-darkness I saw her sleeping, curled up on one side, her hair spread out over her bare shoulders. I placed my hand on her neck. "It's time now. You should wake up." Slowly, dazedly, she moved, turned over, opened her eyes. "Last night," I said, "I had a nightmare." "So what?" "It seemed to me that I was dead. I woke up and asked you, 'Have I got to die?' And you answered, 'Why? Who said so?' Now, I really want to know what you meant by that remark." "Go and open the window." I got up, went to the window, and pulled up the roller shutter. Then I turned back into the room. At the far side of the bed, my wife was shielding her dazzled eyes with her arm. "What's the weather like?" she inquired. "Splendid." "Good. Then we'll be able to go for a drive." I began again. "Last night I had a nightmare. I thought I was dead, so I asked you, 'Have I got to die?' And you—" But I could go no further. My wife, with a sort of brusque violence, threw back the bedclothes, jumped out of bed, and went out of the room. I followed her. The bathroom in our flat is at the far end of the passage, opposite the bedroom. I saw my wife's pink, crumpled nightdress disappear into the bathroom, and the door was shut in my face. A moment later I heard the rush of water from the shower, and through it the sound of my wife singing. The sound came irregularly, with high notes and low notes, as though the singer were panting and out of breath, yet joyous as the rush of cold water descended upon her. Then the singing became more distinct and regular. After the cold shower, my wife was now taking a warm one. Suddenly the bathroom door was thrown open. She came out in her dressing gown and went back into the bedroom. Standing in front of the dressing table with her back turned to me, she looked at herself for a long time in the glass, studying her face, her favourite kind of reading after waking up in the morning. I took advantage of this to say, for the third time, "Last night I had a nightmare. I woke up with a start, But again this time I could get no further. My wife turned on the little radio on the dressing table and set it at full volume to a jazz band. This was a habit of hers, to dress and undress and perform her toilet to the sound of jazz. Suddenly she turned round and cried, "Aren't you content? Aren't you happy to be alive? I am. It's a lovely day. We're going for a drive in the country. I've had a stinging cold shower which has woken me up. Come on now, come on. Let's dance." And so, she with expert, impetuous briskness, I awkwardly and filled with embarrassment and regret, we danced in the middle of the untidy room, in front of the unmade bed. Then my wife stopped and exclaimed, "Oh, I'm out of breath. Besides, it's late. I must get dressed." I went to the radio, turned it off, then moved towards her. She sat on the bed, one foot in the air, putting on a stocking, and I said firmly, "Now, listen to me once and for all, and answer me, please. Last night I had a nightmare. I thought I was dead. I woke up with a start, and suddenly there was a knock at the door. My wife naturally called out, 'Come in,' and so once again I was left in the middle of a sentence. It was the cook, an ugly but zealous young woman who'd come to take the orders for the day. 'Come in,' said my wife. 'Come in, Eglé. Well then, the doctor and I are going out to lunch today. We're going to the sea. This evening there'll be 4 for dinner. But let me tell you at once, Eglé, yesterday evening's dinner was a disaster. And if this evening's is of the same kind, I'll be forced not to invite my friends any more.' 'But, Signora, what disaster? Where was the disaster? Where was it?' 'In the kitchen, and even before it was in the kitchen, it was inside you, Eglé. The timbale was half raw, but to make up for that the asparagus was overcooked. We won't mention the salad. Evidently your love affairs are not going well, for you put in the salt twice over, and as for the roast,' etc., etc. Gradually, while my wife and the cook were engaged in their discussion, I slipped out of the door, without their noticing, and went into the sitting room. I put on a record of some kind, sank into an armchair, and started listening, trying by means of the music to free myself of my ill humour. Then, suddenly, as I reflected on the way my wife during the night had replied to my question about death, I saw that, fundamentally, her reply a short time before had been given in the same manner, when I'd repeated the same question. During the night she'd said, "Why, who said so?" Now she'd not answered at all, or rather, she had answered by doing the things that she did every morning of her life, but when carefully considered, the two answers resembled one another. Unconscious, ambiguous, just like the answers of a little capricious domestic sibyl, they seemed to imply that it was useless for me to think of death, seeing that I was alive. It was a comforting answer, even if modest and simple, rather like the answer a mother might have given to a child who'd put to her a question like mine. But after all, I had behaved just like a child. There was a sound of doors opening and closing. My wife appeared and cried, "Well, shall we go? It's late. They're waiting for us." We went out of the flat. In the lift, my wife looked at me and said unexpectedly, "By the way, what was it you wanted to know? With so much to do, I didn't listen to you. You asked me something several times, but I didn't understand properly. It was to do with something that happened last night." "Yes," I replied. "I wanted to know if I'd woken you up. I had a nightmare, and it seemed to me I'd woken you up." "No, you didn't. I slept right through from yesterday evening until this morning. You didn't wake me up at all." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely sure. You didn't wake me up. I slept right through the night."